Hey guys, welcome back to the Curly Reader. Today I'm going to share with you my first thrift haul of 2020. So I was very good and had a lot of self-control over the last 2 months. I have not done any thrifting at all. And I was very proud of myself, but as soon as Christmas was over, I got a major itch to go thrifting again and decided I would go with the restriction that I was only allowed to purchase books that I really, really wanted. And I wasn't just going to buy things that I had heard of and didn't know if I really wanted or not, because I've been doing that a lot lately. So I did go to two different thrift stores on New Year's Day and got some books. I think I have 11 books total here, and I'm happy with that. Only one, I'm looking at these to make sure. Only one of them is a book that I have previously read. So another habit I have when I go buying books is that I buy books I've already read that I just don't own yet because I love them and I would really like to own them. And that's how I buy a lot of my books, honestly. But this time around, I only bought one book that I had already read, and everything else here are books that I would like to read. Some of them are like cover buys where don't really know a lot about the book, but they looked really good. And then some of them I just have heard a lot about and I did really, really want to read them. So we'll see. Anyway, let's get into this and I'm going to share with you these books. So the first book I'm going to share with you is the book that I've already read and just didn't own a copy of yet, and that is Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. I listened to the audiobook of this when I read it before, and I loved this book so much. The movie's not the best adaptation I've ever seen, but the book itself was fantastic, I thought. And this is about a world in which a video game, like a virtual reality video game, has kind of taken over the entire world. That's where you go to school. That's where you spend your money. That's how you interact and socialize with others. And in this story, our main character, Wade Watts, is a player in this game, and the creator of this game has passed away and has placed Easter eggs within the game, and whoever finds the Easter eggs first inherits the fortune of the creator. So this is just kind of about Wade and his experience with that. It's a fantastic book and I'm really excited. I found it and it's in really, really great shape. So the rest of these I have not read yet. I did read the backs of them before I started filming just to make sure I at least knew something about them to tell you, because some of these I honestly didn't know a whole lot about before I picked them up. The first one, though, I had heard about, and this is a nonfiction book. It's called The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walls. And this is kind of comparable, I'm thinking, to Educated in the fact that it is about a woman who lives with parents who are kind of survivalist and they're not really taking care of their children the way they should be. I have heard amazing things about this one, though. I was not a huge fan of Educated, so I'm really hoping that this one will impress me more than Educated did. So I'm very excited to read that eventually. The next one that I have here is Americana by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. I'm hoping I did not completely butcher that. This is one that I've heard a ton about. It's about two young people from Nigeria that decide to leave Nigeria because it's military ruled, and one of them comes to America and the other one goes to London, I think. And it's just their story. So yeah, I've heard a lot of really, really good things about this. So yeah, I picked that one up. The next one I have here is The Last Anniversary by Liane Moriarty. I've started collecting a lot of the Liane Moriarty books. I've only ever read two, so I don't know why I'm always drawn to her books. But this is another one that I hadn't heard of before, and it says Sophie Honeywell always wondered if Thomas Gordon was the one who got away, and then she inherits his aunt's house, and so she goes to live on this island that the house is on and just kind of gets involved in a very awkward situation, it sounds like. And the last part of it says, as Sophie's life becomes increasingly complicated, she discovers that sometimes you have to stop waiting around and come up with your own fairy tale ending. So we'll see how that one turns out. Something about Liane Moriarty's, the summary of her books, always appeals to me. So I figured we would try that one. And then I have a couple of historical fiction books here. The first one is The Aviator's Wife by Melanie Benjamin, and this is about Charles Lindbergh's wife. So yeah, that's pretty much what that one's about. And I also have The Baker's Secret by Stephen P. Kiernan. And this is about a baker in 1944 in Normandy who is basically given extra flour to make bread for the troops, and instead she mixes it with straw. Let me see. Yeah, she mixes it with ground straw to stretch the flour so she can make more than just one extra loaf of bread, and she is feeding her town basically. So yeah, it just sounded very interesting. I've heard really good things about this one, and it's been on my TBR for a really long time, so I figured I would nab that one. And then the last historical fiction book that I have here is Honolulu by Alan Brennert. This is the same author of Molokai, which I have and I've read half of, and I have not finished it yet, but that's in the works. But this is about a picture bride in Hawaii in 1914, and just kind of her experience coming to Hawaii. And then it says it's the spellbinding tale of 4 women in a new world united by dreams, disappointment, sacrifices, and friendship. So it just sounds very interesting. I'm really enjoying reading about Hawaii before it became part of the United States and before it was a huge tourist trap. And so, yeah, so I went ahead and grabbed that one because that sounded fascinating. And then I got How to Stop Time by Matt Haig. I just finished reading A Boy Called Christmas and The Girl Who Saved Christmas and The Truth Pixie, all by Matt Haig. And those are all middle grade books, and this is an adult book. But I figured I would give his adult writing a try because I haven't ever read any adult stuff by him, and I loved his middle grade. But this is about Tom Hazard, who basically can stop time, and he's been alive for centuries. He's lived through history. He gets a job as a history teacher, and then he meets a girl, and one of the number one rules of the secretive society that he's in is that you're not allowed to fall in love. So he has to decide, does he choose to stop time, or does he decide to start living in the present? And yeah, that sounded very interesting, intriguing. I also picked up another book by Maria Semple, who wrote Where'd You Go, Bernadette, which I read earlier in 2019, and I really, really enjoyed. This one's called Today Will Be Different, and it's about a mom who is she says she knows she's a mess. Today she's going to tackle the little things, and then things don't go her way, and then at the end it says that this is a wildly funny and unflinching exploration of motherhood, middle age, faith, and the risks of facing up to our former selves so we can truly begin living, which is pretty much where I am in life right now. So I figured that would be appropriate. I only got one middle grade book out of this entire haul, and that is The Penderwicks by Jean Birdsall. And I already owned a copy of this, but the copy I owned was very beat up. It was like a used library copy, and this is in perfect condition. So I went ahead and grabbed it because why not? And then the last one that I got is another nonfiction book, and this is Christian nonfiction. It's called Radical by David Platt, and I've heard really, really good things about this. It's basically just about American Christians and how we forget that Jesus told us that we would live a radical life and not a life like everybody else. And so I figured I would pick this up. I tend not to read a lot of the Christian nonfiction that I pick up, but this one's really short, and I figured my husband would probably be interested in this one as well. So I'd go ahead and give it a shot. And I got this one from Goodwill, so it was like $1.30. So I figured I'd grab that. So anyway, those are all the books that I picked up from my first thrift haul of the year. I think I'm gonna hold off on thrift hauls until the library sales start, because those start next month, and I don't want to get too many books in the house, but I know that library sales tend to be my soft spot when it comes to that. So that's it for today. If you have read any of these, I would love to hear your comments down below. And other than that, I hope that you enjoyed this, and I hope that you stick around and subscribe. And until next time, see ya!